All right, guys, and on the eve of the NFL season opener, an estimated $35 billion will be wagered on the NFL this season. Yes, billions. That's a 30% increase from last season based on data released by some state gaming commissions. Now, 38 states plus the District of Columbia allow betting on the NFL. Bookmakers say on a game-per-game basis, more bets are placed and more money is coming in on the NFL than any other league.
Shocker.
Just a few of those dollars going to be bet when the NFL season kicks off tomorrow in Kansas City. A rematch of last year's AFC title game. Chiefs are field goal favorites against John Harbaugh in Baltimore. Harbaugh, though, 12-4 straight up and against the spread in his 16 Week 1 games as the coach of the Ravens. So, Joe, are you leaning into Harbaugh's Week 1 success?
A little bit. He's had a ton of success, not just throughout his career, but specifically the last 8 years. 7-1 straight up, 7-1 against the spread. And the cover margin has been extraordinary. It's by double digits. Ooh. So he's not just beating you, he's beating the closing number by double digits in these games. But let's look on the other side. Andy Reid, not too shabby in Week 1 as well. 9-2 straight up, 7-4 against the spread. It's not Harbaugh-esque, but it's successful and it's profitable in Week 1. Same thing with Patrick Mahomes. He's 5-1 straight up in Week 1, 4-2 against the spread. The way the market is set up now, if you like the Ravens, you can't play them at worse than +3. If you like the Chiefs, you can't play them at worse than -2.5 because both numbers are out there. If you're looking for something to bet on, though, the total's intriguing here. Last year when these two met in the AFC Championship game, total closed around 44. This total's 47.5. What was the big narrative coming out of that game outside of Jackson not winning the big one? They didn't run the ball enough. Now you have Derrick Henry, run the football. You're catching 3 points with a Ravens team in a game that could be low scoring. I'd be looking under there.
All right, I like the Chiefs to win, but it comes down to by a matter of how much. I don't like the 3 points. I'm just going to be honest with you. So if anything, I think you should live bet this game, but I'm looking at player props, baby. I gave out 4 already today. I'm just going to go through them quickly. We're looking off the bat, Isaiah Pacheco in the first quarter over 14.5 rushing yards. I just think they lean on him early and consistently. Now, of course, you got to check which books you can actually go and bet that on. And then you guys know I'm the interception prop queen. So Patrick Mahomes to throw a pick. He has so in every single.
It's a bit of an addiction with you.
So I'm addicted to many things. Interception props are one of them.
Blue cheese among them?
I can't even get primetime games. He always throws a pick. I'm coming in hot and heavy today. Xavier Worthy under 45.5 receiving yards, and lastly Lamar Jackson under 8.5 rushing attempts. I'm pretty sure I was supposed to talk about the spread, but I got way too excited there.
Football season is here, so Erin, she's jacked up, and Joe done for the day. If you were wondering about the head coach on the other side, though, Andy Reid 9-2 straight up, 7-4 ATS as the Chiefs head coach. Back here on ESPN Bet Live, we have player props out for tomorrow night's season opener. Lamar Jackson's passing prop 216.5 plus 225 to score an anytime touchdown. Patrick Mahomes sitting at 265.5, 22 yards higher than it was for last year's AFC title game. Derrick Henry's rushing prop 64.5. He's -115 to score a touchdown in his Ravens debut. He's also 5-1 to score the game's first touchdown. Isaiah Pacheco on the other side, 61.5 yards, plus 105 to score. Travis Kelce, 56.5 yards. He dominated the Ravens in last year's title game, 11 for $116 and a score. Mark Andrews, 10 yards lower at 46.5. Well, folks, it is that time. I mean, you have a beautiful, handsome, charismatic man right here. Look,
and also you.
Scary, ugly machine.
I like it, honestly.
Mike Clay, Tyler Fulghum. It is man versus machine. You know the drill. We're going head-to-head all season long, and we're going to start with Thursday night's opener in Kansas City. 2 picks from each of us. Mike, give us the first prop the machine likes.
How about a receiving yardage over for a running back? Derrick Henry, 6.5 receiving yards is the line. I'm going over on this one. That number is too low. It's basically, Tyler, it's basically like a yes or no. Will he catch a pass? Right. And he usually does. He was over this in 10 games last season. He's averaging 9.4 yards per catch in his career. Last season, 12.6 yards per game. In his career, 12.3 yards per game. He generally is over this mark. I think, as I'm going to get to here more shortly, I think Baltimore is going to be throwing the ball a little extra in this game. So this feels like a layup to me.
Not the wide receiver, Derrick Henry, the running back, but it is a small number, 6.5. Hey, this correlates, so hopefully as Lamar goes over 216.5 passing yards, he doesn't throw to his running back, Derrick Henry. But I do agree with that sentiment that The Ravens will be throwing more this season with a defense that's going to face some regression. In this game specifically, I like the Chiefs to be playing from ahead, meaning Lamar Jackson and Todd Monken's offense will be playing from behind and throwing the football a little bit more at Arrowhead Stadium. So 216.5, a very reasonable number for a team I expect to, and it sounds like you do, Mike, throw a bit more this season. Okay, Mike, what's the second prop the machine likes?
Yeah, we are on the same page here. This is a little scary for me, but I like the Lamar Jackson call, so I like it for his top receiver as well. I'm going to go over 51.5 receiving yards for Zay Flowers. Look, last year as a rookie, he averaged a higher number than this at 56.3. My projection actually at 69 yards, well above this mark. Over 52 in 10 of 18 games last season, including 3 of his final 4. He really finished strong last year. And here's a big one. We just talked a little bit about game script, right? They're 3-point underdogs. They should be throwing extra in this game. Flowers last season averaged 77 yards per game in Baltimore's 4 losses when he was active. Again, way above this line. So I like that a lot. And also, remember, no more L'Jarius Sneed for Kansas City. He's not going to be shadowing Zay Flowers in this game. So that's another advantage for Baltimore's new number 1 receiver.
All right, whether it's man or machine, 3 overs for the Baltimore passing game. Let's go to the Kansas City side. We have at ESPN BET posted just 1.5 passing TDs for Patrick Mahomes. Now, you got to drink a lot of juice if you want to go over this, but hey, it'll go down sweet with just 2 TDs from Mahomes, which, again, based on the game script that we're developing here, sounds like we like. Mahomes had a down year last year when it came to passing TDs. He didn't have targets outside of Travis Kelce, then Rashee Rice the second half of the season. I know Hollywood Brown's not going to be available, but you have Rice, you have Kelce, you brought back Juju Smith-Schuster, Xavier Worthy is there as well. I just think that the Chiefs offense will be cooking more through the air this year. 2 touchdown passes for Mahomes, but minus 180 is juice.
This is scary. We're on the same page on all of these this week, Tyler. I'm with you. No more conservative passing game. The Chiefs are going to get back on track offensively this season. I'm with you.
All right, well, man versus machine and a little bit of agreement here for at least Thursday Night Football. I look forward to, wink, wink, seeing you all season long here and on Fantasy Football. Tyler, Erin, and Joe back with you on ESPN Bet Live, ready to dive into some nuggets as we get ready for week 1 of the NFL season. Trend or trap is the name of the game, and I want to start with a potential bad sign for the Chicago Bears, guys. The last 15 QBs drafted number 1 overall. 0-14-1 win-loss record, 1-14 against the spread. So, Erin,
this is like taking all the enjoyment these people are going to have this season and killing it before the first game of the year.
Can't have anything nice if you're a Bears fan these days, right? Erin, are you buying that Caleb Williams and the Bears are in trouble?
Yes, I think this is a trend. There is something to this, obviously, because he is a rookie. And when I was on SportsCenter today, which it's not a flex, and don't go up. Andrew Hawkins was talking about how the preseason is much different than when you actually have to play in a real game. It's 5 to 6 times faster, so he might struggle, but I will say the position that he's put in is not terrible. Okay, he has a good offensive line, so we'll see, but I do think there is something to this, and I know throughout the week we'll make more picks on that game.
SportsCenter, Andrew Hawkins.
Oh, relax.
I come with
First
no
take.
such glory.
First take over here. We have to run that every time you're on First Take. We got to run it.
Just a man with a sheet of paper. I agree, though. I think there's something to this. I would lean towards the trend here. Anytime you see something this outrageous, good rule of thumb, try to poke some holes in it, ask some questions. First question, how many of these guys were favorites? There's your answer. Over the last, and that's not the last 15. The last 15 only includes Lawrence and Wilson, who both lost outright. Not failing to cover. They lost outright in the process. Williams is going to be just the 5th number 1 overall pick in history to debut as a favorite, and he's going to debut as a big favorite. So keep that in mind. Lost in the shuffle of all the excitement in Chicago and the overvaluation of the Bears here, Tennessee is better than people realize. The defense is improved. Brian Callahan, the new head coach, he brought over his dad as the offensive line coach, who's his dad, Bill Callahan, one of the best O-line coaches in NFL history. There's a lot to like about the Titans. This is going to be a feisty matchup. I'd be looking at Tennessee. I agree with Dolan.
And that's why the line keeps moving in favor of Tennessee. It's been bouncing back and forth. One of my favorite picks of the week.
Titans.
Best bet.
No, I didn't say that.
ESPN
Relax.
Bet plus 4.5. You can go there if you'd like. Let's move to totals. Okay, bring this in week 1. The last 2 seasons, 23-9 to the under, 86-70-3 to the under the last 10 seasons in week 1 specifically. Joe, do you favor unders this weekend?
I feel like betting blanket overs just to fly in the face of this. I think this is more trap than trend because I think the books have accounted for it. Think of it like this: 16 games on the week 1 schedule. Only one has a total of 49 or higher. One. It's the Sunday night game between the Rams and the Lions in Detroit on the fast track. Outside of that, of the 16 games that have opened, only 5 have seen over money betting it up. 10 have seen under money. 1 has stayed the same. Now, it wouldn't really be much of a segment if I didn't at least throw a bet out with this. Chargers Raiders is sitting like 40.5. That feels like an under. Harbaugh playing defense, running the football, the Raider offense not being all that exciting. Throw that out there. I think this is very trappy.
Giving picks throughout the segment.
I'm just
Good for you.
weaving them all in.
Just weaving it all in. I agree with you. I mean, it's baked into the line to some extent. Slightly higher average total than we saw week 1 last year, and obviously the unders have been crushing it. But I think everything is a case-by-case basis. You have to look at the game per game, so you can't just blindly be betting into any trend whatsoever. But obviously, yeah, unders have crushed it.
Challenge accepted.
I was going to say,
Challenge
sounds like your buddy over there wants to do that. All right.
Sounds like he's just trying to steal the show, giving out picks. I was told not to give out any picks in the segment, and here I am.
Well, you know, you can weave them in. This one I really like because over the last 15 seasons, guys, week 1 home underdogs in divisional games are 22-7-1 ATS. They're 16-1 outright to their last 17. This applies to exactly 1 game on the schedule this week. Erin, are you taking the Colts as a 3-point home dog against everyone's darling, the Houston Texans?
I started touching my arm because I don't know, because I got nervous. This is a tough one. Divisional games.
I'm very anxious.
I know, I didn't even mean to do that. That's my nervous tick there. I don't have a great read on this one. Obviously, when it was 2.5 with the Texans, I did actually like laying that. But now that it's 3, it's tough not to take that. These games can always be tough against divisional opponents. Also, are the Texans somewhat overhyped at the same extent? They made a lot of improvements to an already good team. So, of course, you're thinking, oh, easy win. But I don't know. The Colts might have something in the back pocket. I really want nothing to do with this spread.
I'm going to start with a disclaimer. Nobody hates AFC South Week 1 matchups more than Joe Fortenbaugh. I've never won an AFC South Week 1 matchup. A prop, a total, a survivor pick aside.
Actually, I'm laughing because you're right.
I lose them all. Jacksonville's normally involved. These guys have certainly been involved as well. Now, all that said, now that the audience knows it, I lean trend. If I can get the full 3, I would look to the Colts. Week 18, they met in Indianapolis last year. Colts were +1 in that game. Now we're up 2 points. Doesn't seem like much, but it's on to the key number of 3. Houston's better. We saw what they did this offseason in the roster. Colts are better as well. Your boy right there, big X factor. Everyone talks about how good they were last year with Minshew, and now they have Anthony Richardson. We only saw him in like 3.5 games. If he's healthy and he's balling, Colts are the play here, but you have to take it. You have to take this one cautiously because, you know, he's still young. He's still inexperienced.
Live bet.
There you
That's
go.
actually a very good piece of advice right there.
I do want to correct myself. 16-12-2 win-loss record. I said 16-1, but regardless, whether you're taking them straight up or against the number, home dogs, divisional games, week 1 have been a good bet. So Andy Reid, 9-2 straight up, 7-4 ATS as the Chiefs head coach. Now to a developing story elsewhere in the AFC. Star wide receiver Jamar Chase returning to practice for Cincinnati today after holding out the last few weeks. Chase looking for a new deal from the Bengals despite having 2 years remaining on his contract. Here's Ben Beatty with a report on his status for Sunday.
It's still too early to say with confidence whether Jamar Chase is going to face the Patriots, but what we saw on Wednesday was a good starting point. He was a limited participant in his most extensive practice since missing all of training camp. After practice, we spoke to Joe Burrow, and he said that Jamar looks fast and strong and appears ready to go. However, he also did confirm that there are 2 separate game plans in place to account whether or not Chase does end up playing. Wide receiver Andre Yosevich told me that it was good to see Jamar back in the huddle and have a full complement of receivers.
All right, thank you, Ben. Erin, it appears Burrow's going to have his guy there, Jamar Chase. Any concern, though, about a slow start for Burrow and the Bengals?
I'm always concerned about that because it's ingrained in my head that it keeps happening, and that makes me very nervous. But at the same time, I mean, having Jamar Chase back is obviously going to help that offense. What this comes down to is Patriots They're just a really, really bad team on offense and also on defense. The defense at least carried them last season in terms of, being able to cover, not getting those wins. Don't get me wrong, only ended with 4 wins. But in this particular spot, I just think the Bengals should win. They should cover, but at the same time, this feels like a trap game, especially with the line moving in favor of the Patriots. So I'm a little worried they might start off slow, maybe a player prop game for me, but I want nothing to do with this spread. Plus Joe Burrow, 2-6 ATS when laying at least 7 points, including the playoffs. So.
Okay, couple things to note with all this. Got as low as 7.5 before the news that we were probably going to see Chase this weekend, so back up to 8.5. On top of that, yes, you're right. Burrow and the Bengals struggling early in the season. Last year, if you remember, he started the season with that, I think it was calf injury, where everyone was debating. I remember this was Sports Talk Radio. Do you sit him or do you start him?
Because you guys are the coaches, right? Yeah.
And he was not healthy, and they did not play well early in the year as a result, and then he ended up suffering the wrist injury later in the season, and the rest is history. So keep that in mind. Fully healthy. He's been through all of camp. If only there was a way to bet on the Bengals, but not have to lay so many points. Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce you to the 6-point teaser option. Sitting at 8.5 right now, perfect teaser number. You take that number from 8.5, you drop it all the way to 2.5, so you only need to win by 3. You move through the key numbers of 7, 4, and 3. It's an excellent long teaser. More on that throughout the course of the season as we advance the data points here, but you got to pair it up with somebody. Jets plus 4.5 Monday night. You can tease them up to 10.5 against the Niners. I like that. If you don't want to do a classic Wong, you can go ahead and play Seattle at -6. Take them down to pick at home for the debut of Bo Nix against the 12th man. Seattle might not be what it used to be, but I think the Seahawks win that
All I'm thinking about is my parents watching this right now. Like, what is he talking about? It's bad enough to be talking spreads. That's intense.
You got to play the Wong. It's the only way to play the teaser. It's got to be the Wong.
Guess who's standing up? Guess who's at the board? Guess who's ready to tick some people off? This man, Christopher Mad Dog Russo.
Well, this is not a tick-off list. This is a ESPN Bet app list. Favorite time of the year, over-unders in the NFL. So I try to find some that are going to keep me interested all year long. You're going to have some high VIGs. If you believe in a team, you don't necessarily have to believe in the VIGs, but the VIGs play into it because if you lose, you're going to lose more money. Okay. So here you have it. 5, I have made the plays on all 5. Number 5. This is a weird one. San Francisco under 11.5. Super Bowl hangover. I bet the Eagles last year under 11.5. They were 10-1, and they finished 11-6. I won. A little disheveled as far as training camp is concerned. Who knows on Ayuk and Trent Williams? And go look at that schedule. Yep. They play the Jets, at Miami, at Buffalo, at Green Bay. Rams are better. Seattle's going to be better. Arizona's not awful. They play the Chiefs. It's a weird one because you figure they win 13, 14 games. Super Bowl hangover, San Francisco's number 5.
Okay.
Number 4. This is another weird one, but I like Denver. Now, the overrun, the VIG is bad, but 5.5. He loves Bo Nix. They've gotten off to a pretty good starting camp. I trust the court. I trust the coach. They can't win 6 games, and they play Carolina. The Raiders aren't great. The Chargers are not impossible. Seattle will start the year. Now, listen, they're going to play the Jets, and they're going to play some tough teams. But I do think Denver's got a chance to be a competitive football team, win 6, 7 games. That's number 4. Something different, Denver. Number 3, I'm shocked it's this low. Houston at 9.5. Now, they're a trendy pick, and you don't like the VIG. You bet $100 and you lose 145. But I think Houston over 9.5. They got 6 games in that division, which they should win, or at least most of them. Indianapolis, Jacksonville, and Tennessee.
Easy.
No, I mean, now listen, they're trendy. And, C.J. Stroud, sophomore jinx, schedule's much harder. They play Dallas. They got a very difficult finish because, remember, they're in that Christmas Day Netflix combination where they have Baltimore and Kansas City. So that doesn't worry you. But I got to figure Stroud can win 10 games. Bet the quarterback. I like the coach. I like Houston, number 3. Number 2, I love the Rams. I can't believe the Rams are 8.5. How are the Rams? Bad VIG. But how are the Rams only 8.5? Over 8.5, that's a layup. They're not going to go 9-8, the Rams, and they finish with 2 home games. Seattle and the Cardinals. McVay and the head coach and the quarterback and Stafford. I think the Rams, last year, they almost beat Detroit. They could have with a couple of better calls. I love the Rams. That team's going to be, they're going to win 10, 11 games. They're going to be right there with San Francisco. I'm going to bet the quarterback and the coach and the finish of schedule with L.A. And then number 1, I've loved them, and I'm going to stick with them. I love the Jets. And now the VIG is terrible. But look, it's 9.5. The Jets can't win 10 games. They won 7 last year, and they had basically Boyle and Zach Wilson as the quarterbacks. And look at the Jets' schedule. It's the 5th easiest in the NFL. All right, they lose Monday night. Their next 3 games, Tennessee, New England, and the Broncos. That's 3-1 right out of the gate. They don't play Miami until very late in the year. They're at Arizona. Rodgers is due to be, they have a good defense. They can run the ball. They got some wide receivers, and I think Rodgers will be healthy. I love the Jets. I don't like the Jets, but I love them. I love all these plays.
All right.
I like a 10.
He loves the juice.
It won't be quite as loud as we discussed these, but Mad Dog's list, very juicy with those. We'll do our favorite futures in a few different categories, starting with you, Joe. Lead us off with your favorite win total.
Agree with Mad Dog. I'd go under on the Niners at 11.5. You know, think of it like this. First things first, Super Bowl loser, the under on their win total, 14-6 the next year. Last 20 years. Last 20 years, Super Bowl loser, betting them under their next year out, 14-6. Look at the Niners last year. They were one of the healthiest teams in the NFL. They were 2nd in point differential. They were 5th in turnover differential. They were number 1 in yards per play. They were number 8 in the opponent yards per play. That resulted in 12 wins. 12. Barely got over this number. Are they going to be as healthy, as effective, as efficient on both sides of the ball? 4th defensive coordinator in 5 years. I'd play under on the Niners.
I blame the producers. You have Mad Dog, then you, and then I'm going to be the blonde chick that agrees with both of you. So really, take it. I like the Niners under their win total as well. Yeah, no.
Smart bet.
Smart blonde chick. Making a joke. Smart blonde chick. Exactly. Let's get that trending. I actually talked about this yesterday. I do like the under. I do expect some regression for them. They're really good when they're blowing teams out. They're 11-2 in games decided by 10 or more points. But when it was tight, they weren't winning those games, and eventually you're going to see some regression. The biggest thing here is that they were healthy last season, and like Joe mentioned, just barely got over it. So I do like the 49ers under, despite all that big.
Bay Area going to be asking why ESPN hates their 49ers with all these people taking their under there. Erin, right back to you, your favorite make-miss playoff bet.
The Bears to miss the playoffs. Now, I know everyone on the book was loving them to make it and also loving them to miss it as well. Top 2 things bet in terms of these markets. But I just look, Caleb Williams, he's a rookie. I don't know how many times I have to say this. I feel like I'm saying the same thing and regurgitating it all entire offseason. But only the 2012 Colts drafted a quarterback number 1 overall and had that quarterback start as a rookie and made the playoffs that season, okay? So it's not easy. It looks like he's stepping into a great situation, Joe. I know you talk about this a lot, but at the same time, I wouldn't be surprised if they missed it. It's hard to do in your first year.
While I disagree, you're getting a good price on that because when that originally opened, that no playoffs, missed playoffs was minus 150, minus 160. So if you're going to do it, you're getting it at a real good price there. I'd stay in the NFC. I can lay way more than minus 115. Don't doubt me. Minus 190. Buccaneers missed the playoffs. This should be minus 250 in my opinion. I think Tampa Bay is going to be terrible. It's been nothing but under money on their win total. It's been nothing but anti-Buck money. Why is that? Last year was the first year post-Tom Brady. It was supposed to be their rebuild year. And yet somehow Dave Canales, the offensive coordinator, got the most out of Baker Mayfield anyone's gotten. And this team found a way through an easy schedule, go 9-8, get into the playoffs and beat the Eagles. Okay, congratulations. But now you've got a lame duck coach. You got a quarterback who might only be here for 1 more year. Your roster isn't very good. Your schedule is a first-place schedule. I don't see them winning 8 games. I don't know what their plan was last year. I think they fell backwards into some wins, and then as a result, now they're moving forward with what they had last year. It's not a very good plan. This year is going to set them back.